This evening is very special for me. Special because it marks the change that happened in the state of Israel and around the world. The understanding that in Israel we not longer have a one front, the military front. We have two fronts. One front is the civilian front, and the other is the military front. In the military front, it's very easy because in the military front, it's very easy because the answer how to deal with the kind of things, kind of threat, is directly equivalent to the threat. In the civilian front, it's a little bit more difficult because when you aim to something, you need to remember two things. First of all is the threat, and second is the people, is the resilience of the people. Is the resilience of the people that gives the opportunity to the IDF to work and do his job. And this why is very complicated. It's not only complicated because of the threat of terror or missiles. It's also complicated because another threats, like earthquake and tsunami scenario. In the civilian front, we say that every civilian is a soldier of the civilian front. And I believe that you are also soldiers in the civilian front. Because the civilian front, it's not only to understand and get the attack. It's also help Israel, support Israel morally, and support Israel in the propaganda agenda. So every in each of you is also a soldier in this civilian front. The understanding that we have two fronts, two fronts. It was in the sorry way after the second Lebanon War. After the second Lebanon War, we found ourselves with a huge gap that marks the things that we didn't thought about. We never got a war. We never had a war in Israel that missiles, very large, very high range of missiles launched inside our territory, except from the first Gulf War. The first Gulf War was 41 missiles. In the second Lebanon War, we had 4,000 missiles. In 30 days, we had 4,000 missiles launched into the cities of Israel. And this extreme situation was changed our way of thinking. We found ourselves with incapability to answer these kind of things. We found ourselves with with incapability to do things like, you need to understand. I give you an example, okay? The electrical branch or electrical firm in Israel thought that when we have emergency, who is in charge of the electricity in Israel? The Home Front Command, the IDF. maybe the police, the Israeli police. They don't understand the deep understanding that they need to be, first of all, in everyday life, and second, in emergency times. It's a deep understanding. Also the mayors. The mayor that elected in some places ran away. Ran away. Elected mayors are ran away from their cities when they are under attack. We found ourselves with a huge gap, and we didn't know how to measure things and get the understanding what we need to do. After the Second Lebanon War, we did two main actions. First of all, we established NEMA. NEMA is equivalent to FEMA in United States. Now NEMA, a few months ago, we decided in the government to establish a new ministry, the Ministry of Home Front Defense, that I'm the Director General of the ministry. The concept is to taking NEMA and gather smarter, bigger, and give her the opportunity to first understand, and second, to prepare all these civilian front. This is the main concept. So after we established NEMA, we start exercise ourselves. We have every year in Israel, every year, exercise, a national exercise. We call it turning point. Why we call it turning point? We call it turning point because of one thing. In the Second Lebanon War, was a turning point in the page of history of Israel. The understanding that we have two throats was the turning point on our vision. So we called the drill a turning point, and we practiced every year a large scale. We practiced from kindergarten, from the age 3 till the prime minister. Everybody practicing. It's a 1 week that all Israel under attack. We practicing war for 1 week. It's given us the opportunity to prepare, and also given us the opportunity to understand what we're dealing with. Because when mayor wakes up in the morning, he don't think about emergency. Thinking about welfare. You're thinking about education. Thinking about how to open the new coffee shop or supermarket near him. You don't think about emergency. And we live in Israel. And in Israel, every day we have emergency. Every day we are in extreme situations. This year, by the way, we understand that we have also a huge gap in the scenario of tsunami and earthquake in Israel. Last time that we heard that we had an earthquake in the state of Israel, the state of Israel not already established, it was in 1927. And the earthquake destroyed completely 2 major cities in Israel those days. Tzfat and Tiberia. 2 major cities in 1927. So we understand in those 5 years or 6 years that we are dealing with the home front, we understand that we have a huge gap in how to deal with these kind of things like earthquake. And we understand another thing, that Israel, it's to After an earthquake, it's very it's very easy to think of what's the consequence it will be. The consequence, people, my friends, my brothers, the consequence will be totally disaster. Totally disaster in Israel. We are not ready. We are not ready for an earthquake scenario. And our neighbors, the Palestinian Authority and Jordan, also not ready. They're less ready than us. And this is becoming a strategic concept or issue. Why? Because after an earthquake will hit the area, a dark regimes, a dark people that we don't want them to be in charge of the Palestinian Authority and on Jordan will capture the government. Will say, they failed, I will give you my help with Iranian money, and they will help to the poor people that don't have any home. So this is a strategic issue in Israel, and we take it very seriously. This is the first time, this year in Turning Point is the first time that you're going to drill a earthquake scenario. And also we're going to drill tsunami scenario. An earthquake scenario is very important, but the main threat on the civilian front is a threat of terror, is the threat of war, is the threat of launch missiles that falls down in our urban territories. And I want to divide those things from the other things that are more humanitarian and go back to the main threat. I divide the main threat to three tiers. The inner ring. In the inner ring, we have a threat from the Palestinians. We have a threat from Hezbollah. The first ring, we have a threat from Syria. We have a threat from the state of Lebanon. And Hezbollah and the state of Lebanon, it's a little bit different. And we have a new threat from Egypt. In this time, we don't sure yet that this is a threat, and we stay and look to see how the new president of Egypt will organize his government, organize his concept and his point of views. I must say that everyone that said this is a spring, Arab Spring, in my point of view, getting now, they understand now that this is not spring. This is a cold, very cold winter. The outer ring, we have Iran, we have Iraq, that's supposed to be now friendly, and we have a new thing, Turkey. And also Turkey is not a threat, immediately threat, but in our point of view, you need to take her as a potential threat. And Israel cannot allow to Iran to be with nuclear capability. Cannot allow to this happen. Why? Not because we are afraid from clashing with Iran. because Iran will give the nuclear umbrella to regimes like in Egypt, to regimes like in Syria, to regimes like in Lebanon, to terror organizations like Hamas, like Hezbollah, like Jihad Islamic. And this is why we cannot give Iran the opportunity to get to a nuclear capability. As I say before, the Second Lebanon War exposed us to some strategic things that we need to deal with. We understand that the enemy taking his civilian as a human shield. We understand that he shoots from the urban territories that he sits in. And it's very hard to hit him back without hitting civilians. We understand that it's not only that he shoots rockets and taking his civilians as a human shield. We understand that in the world of social and network and in the world of media, they try to do delimization. They try to do delimization. Yeah, exactly. Sorry. I tried to translate it from Hebrew. And it's included trying to take Israel to the court, the national court in Hague, the human being court, and tell us that we are doing something wrong. And also we understand that they will not be pleased if they will not shoot a mound of missiles inside our population. In order to achieve goals in our side, we needed to do a little bit change. In the offensive side, we create the capability for a massive destructive strike. And also we create the ability to combat in a urban shield and hit the people that we want to hit. In the defensive side, my side, we're developing active ability such as Iron Dome. We are developing a flexibility in our economy to deal with these kind of threats. We got into projects of passive defense like shelters and these kind of things. And also we start to build a concept of how to deal with extreme situations, and we call it resilience. We start to practice the city halls, the governments, the ministers. We start to practice them how to deal with these kind of things. Our enemy understood that he can't beat the IDF on the battlefield. So he's trying to find another ways to hit us and to hurt us and to beat us. And we cannot allow to this concept of him succeed. He is moved from the battlefield, from the military front to the civilian front. It's very complicated to deal with this front, because the main problem, it's when you're dealing with something in the battlefield. You have the IDF, you know what to do. You tell him attack something, he going and attacking. Conquered something, he conquered. In the civilian front, to win, you need to ask the people to ask, not to order them, to ask them. And you need to ask. We have in the civilian front a huge amount of organizations, ministries, municipalities, whatever. We have the IDF, we have Magen David Adom, we have the Israeli police, we have the fire department, we have NGOs, we have the municipalities, we have the local communities, we have everything. Thousands of organizations. And this is why it's very hard to deal with this civilian front. We need you. We need you with us, not only to support Israel financially, like you always do. You need us to support Israel and his civilians mentally, morally, spiritually, and even sometimes physically. Today, to the population in Israel, we have 60% of the population have gas masks. The Prime Minister a few weeks ago, by the way, the Prime Minister taking very seriously all the concept of the Home Front Defense Ministry, and he do every second week a round table with him and his staff in the one side, and the Minister of Home Front Defense, Matan Vilnai, me, and the general that leads the Home Front Command in the other side. And he improved to get to 100% of the population. It will take few years, but we will get to the 100% of the population. Now, for the tourist, we have a concept that the tourists will leave Israel. We try to get them leave Israel before something happens. And if something happens and we need to give masks to tourists, we will do it. I'm assuming that we will do it. We put this year, for the first time, 40 million shekels on large-scale evacuation. We have the capability now to evacuate 300,000 people from their home in the time of war or in a scenario of earthquake. For all the south area, we put the Iron Dome, and we built in $1 billion, listen to me, billion shekels. We built for every and each civilian and home shelter, and safe room in every apartment, in every home. We build it with the government money. They don't pay nothing. And we don't take, we decided that the municipalities over there will not take taxes on this room that they got. So for us, they are first-class civilian, and they have a rough time. I remember we have a short-term memory, because in the north, 10 years ago, we have a bigger situation. We had a bigger situation in Kiryat Shmona, in Metula. So in Israel, like I said, we live on the tip of the sword. We will have situations. It start with the 67 territories. It goes to the north. It goes back to the south. I believe in the next round with Gaza, it will be in the center of Tel Aviv. I believe that it will be in Rishon LeZion, in Chulon, in Bat Yam. And then the Prime Minister needs to sit with his cabinet and decided what he wants to do. He needs to decide what he wants to do with Gaza Strip. And Gaza Strip is a huge problem for us. The world don't feel and see what we feel and see every day. Every day. This is why you so important to us. Because you are my horn in the United States. You are my speaker. You need to do for Israel propaganda, the right propaganda. Because this is what our cousins doing every day. They do propaganda against us. So we have a problem, and we help the people, and we rely on the people, and we are I can say love the people. We love the people and want to help them and want them to stay in their position, in their place to live.
I'd like to present Alon Rozen, the Acting Director General of the Ministry of Home Front Defense, with this award in recognition of our new partnership to help ensure the security of Israeli citizens, and it's signed by our President and myself as Executive Vice President.